The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
There once was a dad who set out on a great quest to find the perfect Coke flavors at his family's request. So he went into a local store and grabbed the Coke Cherry Vanilla, Coke Cherry, and more. At dinner, they sipped Coke flavors and rejoiced, for everyone made their own delicious choice.
Coca-Cola flavors. Unbelievably delicious.
With so many delicious Coca-Cola flavors and Coca-Cola Zero Sugar flavors options to choose from, you'll have to taste them all.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
You have smoked yourself retarded.
here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
It's March. I think we were like a week
Again?
right? I think we're maybe like a week away from it being like the last time I've seen you in person. The last time you were in the basement.
Was that in March? The last time I actually came over and recorded?
Yeah, it was like the Sunday before St. Patrick's Day, and then after that, like it was over because like the week after that, Michigan and the rest of the world shut down.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, how are we going to do the show remotely?
I did find it funny that watching all of these podcasts and all this convert to technology that we had been using for like 5 years already.
Yeah. It was very amusing watching everybody scramble to find a setup, and I was like, that looks like the last 5 years of my life.
Yeah. It's like we already did this. It's called We All Live Far Away from Each Other. And people don't like to drive 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I still like getting out of the house and seeing you once a week, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
It was for somebody who was pre-pandemic, pretty much a homebody. That was a nice way to shake up the week and get you out of your routine. But we've adapted fine. But hell, when we're vaccinated and this is all behind us, I want to get together and have a smoke sesh.
Oh, yeah.
A proper sesh, man. Get some za.
Smoking weed with other people.
Rips.
The only time I've smoked weed with other people, it's been outside on the golf course.
Yeah.
Right? Trading spit with people other than my wife. No homo. Oh, wait. You can't say it anymore, right? Just add that to the list.
Is it offensive to say no homo?
I think so, probably. At this point now, I just assume it's everything's offensive.
Well, look, there's a freedom that comes with that, right?
How
if you assume that everything that you say is going to be offensive, then you just stop trying to filter yourself and you go back to talking about what you want to talk about, because it's a no-win situation, right?
It's like when I talk about things at work or when I do my radio gig now, I just like, if Jimmy Fallon couldn't say it, don't bother fucking saying it. Like this is just the new world order. It's like when you're at work, talk about work. And like the image I try to portray in my radio show is a glass of whole fucking milk. Even with the stuff I post on social media, like if I even go, could this be mildly? I mean, not for our stuff, but say for my radio show. Could this be mildly viewed as taking a stance? Yes. Then I don't want it. Next.
Yeah. I have a smaller office that I work in and a smaller group of guys. I don't worry about it as much. They're all pretty chill dudes. Some of them are pretty conservative. I don't think that I would like offend anybody, but I also give like probably about 1/10 of my opinions on stuff. Of the different conversations that go around the office. Like, you want to talk Marvel, Star Wars, talk some nerd shit, let's talk movies and TV, music. I'll chat all day with you, but most times when it goes into anything political or social, I'm biting my tongue and like, just don't even.
My new job, I am the only male member of leadership, and the politics of the company is liberal. So we're just...
Because that means you're speaking less, sir.
Let's talk about work. That's what we do.
Yeah. Keep it light.
Yup.
Really light.
Coffee talk.
How about them Golden Globes?
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know. No, because that's getting into Hollywood. Much. Hollywood treads too close to politics now.
That's true. Especially with the Golden Globes. I'm saying them like fucking Harrison Ford.
The glow didn't glow.
Well, now the Golden Globe winner.
I wonder this year, did they all still get hammered?
I don't know. Did you see Tracy Jordan try to pronounce soul?
No, but I saw Jason Sudeikis high as fuck in his fucking hoodie that he from college.
Did he look high as fuck?
He looked high as hell, and yeah, he was in like a white.
I only saw a still, and I wasn't sure if like it was just a bad still that they picked.
No, man,
he was like fucked up.
I was watching the news, the local news this morning, and I guess social media was bagging on him for being the most casual. Having the most casual outfit, or most casually dressed, I believe was what they were saying. He was in like a white hoodie with like, I want to say tie-dye.
Was it? But there was somebody else, I think like Sean Penn on there or somebody. There were quite a few people that were like really dressed down. Like, I don't give a fuck. I found that Tracy Morgan thing. So
what? Saul?
Sal.
What was that supposed to be?
Soul. The
Soul.
Movie.
Oh.
Soul.
Oh, and he said Sal?
Sal. And he looks at it again and goes...
You've never seen the word soul before?
Well, look, my man's been in a bus accident, so cut him a little slack.
Whatever. You get a $100 million check from Walmart. You can get whatever he needs to fixed.
What that was reality reflecting art for me. It was like a Tracy Jordan moment.
Well, ironically, yeah, it reminds me of a moment from 30 Rock when Liz Lemon was trying to be woke and called somebody named Amanda Amanda.
Yeah. Made me think of when they put peanut butter in Tracy's mouth so he could do the commercial, and then Jack dubbed in his voice.
Yeah.
Boys and Girls of America.
Yeah, maybe he was just, I don't want to be, just he didn't want to be. He didn't want to be caught with his pants down, and he tried to overcorrect, and forgot that there's a word called soul.
But haven't you ever seen, like, that's happened to me before, where your brain just doesn't make a connection that it normally always makes, and it's usually when you're out of your environment, and when there's pressure on you, there's like. There's times where I've had meetings, like Skype meetings at work, and they're showing me something, and I'm like, I don't get it, right? And it's simple, and I'm just not making that connection. And after the meeting, I'm like, oh my God, I'm an idiot.
No, definitely had my shit. Yes, we've all been there.
So it happens. And, maybe they probably used some fucked up font, first of all. And probably all the letters were capital. So he's seeing the word in a context that you don't normally see it spelled. And maybe he thought it was like somebody's name.
Oh, maybe it's a cursive U and it looked like a W.
Maybe, yeah.
Foul.
But all the same, like, I don't mean to. I know it's shitty to laugh at him, and it seems like an honest mistake that he made, and it's kind of embarrassing. But what the fuck? I mean, he's a celebrity and he's a millionaire.
Fuck that.
Like,
He's a comedian. We're supposed to laugh at him.
Right.
This laugh was unintentional, so be it. He still did his job. We laughed.
Yeah. Oh.
And at this point,
how many Tracy Morgan gags do you think started out as unintentional things?
A fair share. I was just about to say, at this point with him, it's just if he's working, it's because he loves what he does, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, after the
Absolutely.
Walmart check, he does not need to fucking work.
Mm-hmm. And he's certainly proven that he's somebody who can laugh at himself. He did 7 seasons of a character that was like
him.
Yeah, it was just him being a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he's like that in life, because that's ridiculous. Like, that character was an exaggeration, obviously. But all of that stuff was, I'm sure, drawn from his real life. That whole show was drawn from their experiences together at SNL.
Well, a lot of the rewatch podcasts I listened to, all of independently, said the same thing. When shows end up running a certain amount of time, you end up playing a hyper version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like The Office. We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Office seems to be, that's just kind of their personalities coming through. And yeah, not that they're playing themselves, but you're hamming it up still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, eventually your character and your personality traits kind of start meshing together.
I can't imagine how it wouldn't, because it's not like they're giving you a whole lot in these sitcoms to work with.
Well, so
in a movie, a director's going to come in to constantly, okay, in this scene, your character, remember, this is where you are, and this is where we're going with the character, and this is where your frame of mind should be. Like, they don't get that in a sitcom. You get a thin cardboard cutout of a character, and you do your best with it. How can you not just infuse it with your own personality so that it has some personality?
Exactly. If you're the one bringing it to life, why shouldn't the character end up having some of your personality traits?
Yeah. That's the job of the actor on a sitcom. The writers are just giving you the beats. They write some jokes. Here's generally what this character is, but you're kind of left to add the rest of it yourself.
Yeah. Hey, did Schitt's Creek win a shit ton of Golden Globes?
Let's see. I've got win by series. So The Crown was the top at 4 awards.
Like, we watched it.
Yeah.
And as soon as it got to modern day,
right.
To basically, as soon as they switched off of Claire Foy, we lost interest.
I'm interested in watching it because I like good period dramas, and I probably would have been the same way. Like, oh, you're going to jump to like 1980s? Nah.
I guess for us it was more like, oh, this is the shit we know. We know it from here. I guess maybe that's kind of where we kind of got to.
Yeah.
Oh, we know all this shit. For us, it was more like all the stuff that went on before we were born. I guess is the stuff that held our interest, because it's the stuff we don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, four wins, I should say, for The Crown, 2 for Queen's Gambit, which is another thing that everyone says is amazing. And I watched half an episode and I was like, I think I understand what this is, and I'm not really into it. It's just another movie that Netflix stretched out into a miniseries.
But it's also there's this new way, and it's probably since 2016, 2017. If there is a female lead, it is the greatest thing ever, no matter what. Like that's just how it is sold to us.
A strong female lead,
yeah,
like somebody who asserts their will.
Also, like, strong female leads didn't exist before 2017. Isn't it kind of insulting? But that's just me. Like, yeah. So I think a lot of hype comes with that too.
Yeah, I don't know. One of those wins, I don't have it broken down here, but I believe one of those was to Anya Taylor-Joy, who I do think is a really fantastic actor. she just has gotten a lot of shit parts. Well, not shit parts. Like, obviously, The Queen's Gambit was a great part for her, regardless of what you think about the story or, how much they pulled the taffy on that series. It certainly gave her plenty of time to chew the scenery with those fucking eyes of hers.
Hey, she'll get more work because of it.
No, absolutely. She was Magic in the New Mutants movie, and they kind of wrote a shit version of Magic. She did a fair job. The writers did a horrible job. The directors did a piss poor job. So it wasn't really her fault in that. I first saw her in what is the name of the Peaky Blinders? I first saw her on Peaky Blinders, and she's fantastic in that. So I think that she is deserving of an award. I don't know, listen, who am I to say? A lot of people enjoyed this Queen's Gambit. Maybe I'm just being too judgmental on it. I only gave, half of the first episode. But it was also that I felt like I was being burned between Netflix and HBO. Netflix takes what should be an hour and a half to 2 hour movie and makes it into a miniseries. It's boring as fuck. And HBO will take what should be an hour and 20-minute documentary and makes it into fucking 8 episodes. And it's nonsense. So I'm just not going to I don't want anything to do with that. I'm kind of gun shy on getting involved in shows that are like that, where I realize that it doesn't warrant 6 hours of movie or however many hours, right?
See, I'm about to ask my wife how much Netflix she still actually watches. Because ever since the first of the year, all the stuff I watch moved over to Peacock. I have not opened my personal Netflix page since January, or since the end of the last year.
I think I'm on month 3 now with no Netflix. And they've sent me twice a week. They send me emails about it. Oh, you come on back for $8.99. I'm like, yeah. Oh, I want to watch standard def. Who gets the $8.99 subscription? It's not that much. But I'm not sworn off Netflix completely. It's just gone into the rotation. So I've allotted 4 streaming services as my budget. 3 of those are taken every single month: Amazon Prime, HBO Max, and Disney Plus. The 4th slot is up for grabs depending on what kind of content you got that I want to see. And there's a few things that I've got lined up that I'm like, I want to check that out when I get Netflix again, like the Lupin series. But, I don't need to, I'm not going to pay $13 just to watch that and then just let it sit there. I'm going to build up a number of things so I can have a whole month's worth of enjoyment out of Netflix. And then I'll run that well dry and I'll go over to Hulu or Showtime and one of any number of options that I have now.
What's funny is I pay for Hulu and it's part of my cell phone plan. I have never figured out how to. I'm essentially paying for something and I don't have to.
Well, wait. But why don't you? I don't know how you.
Because I've had Hulu,
right?
The Jewish version. I've had Hulu since 2011. I pay $6 for it. It's great.
But it's included with your wireless plan as well?
Yes.
So then you just have to link the two or something. I think what you do is so this is what I do on Hulu, because I've bounced back and forth. Subscribing directly through Hulu. I've actually done it a number of ways. I've gone from subscribing directly through Hulu on the app to doing it through Comcast to having it attached to my Disney Plus subscription. And every single time I just use the same password and everything. But, I just go into the app. If I've canceled my subscription and I want to resubscribe, I sign in through a provider. And I look through their list and go to Xfinity. It shoots me over to my Xfinity page. My login's already saved on there. It shoots me back to the Hulu. It says you're all linked up, and then I watch Hulu. So I think you just need to just go into your settings, log in through a provider, and probably find your wireless provider in there and link your account. Once you're linked, then they can stop billing you.
Nice.
Or stop double billing you in this case. So, yeah, Schitt's Creek was on there too. They won 2 awards. I Know This Much Is True, which is the Mark Ruffalo miniseries. What was that about?
Is that the one where he played his own brother with autism?
I was going to say, it had to have either been about mental illness or journalism. Because those are the 2 things that Mark Ruffalo is interested in. And that's not a criticism. To be such an actor of such a caliber that you can pretty much pick your projects like that. I'm not saying Mark Ruffalo is fucking rich. He's got that Marvel money from Hulk, so I'm sure he's doing all right. But Mark Ruffalo, outside of the Marvel movies, has shown up in projects that you feel like he is personally invested in. So I applaud him for that.
Yeah, but the MCU is paying his bills.
Oh, yeah. Probably subsidizing. He's probably taking much less on a however
he took the MCU gigs so he could take the artsy gigs.
Right. Did that Dark Water is really good. It's a really good movie.
Didn't he win an Oscar?
Pretty sure.
Because that's the other thing. If you win an Oscar, you can do whatever the fuck you want, and people will pay. If you win an Oscar, he can do those other movies, and they still got to pay him because he won an Oscar.
That's true. They've got this broken down by network too. Apparently, Netflix won the most out of any of the streaming services for 6 awards. Wow, that doesn't even make sense. So Netflix got 6, Pop TV got 2, so those must have been tied directly to the Schitt's Creek ones. Apple TV got 1. Well, I guess, yeah, they only had Ted Lasso that really won awards. And HBO got 1, which was probably for I Know This Much Is True. I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot, there hasn't been a whole lot from Disney Plus that could show up yet, that would show up yet at award shows for this year. Next year, maybe we'll see some nods to some of the stuff that they're doing for 2021. But it seems like that there's a lot of, Showtime didn't get any awards. The Good Lord Bird was a fantastic show. And Ethan Hawke was amazing in that shit. He doesn't get any nods?
He's a middle-aged white guy. No.
Well, hey, so's Sudeikis.
That's true.
So Apple TV Plus got an award, and Ted Lasso got an award. So I'm assuming Sudeikis did not get an award for his performance. Then let's see. I got to see if there's. They break this down better.
He made a speech, so maybe.
All right.
Yeah, he won actor in a musical or TV comedy series.
Okay, well, right on then. He definitely deserves that because that Ted Lasso performance is just amazing, just charming as fuck, and really moving too.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you thought you had to travel far to savor the pad thai of Bangkok, or to taste the pastries of Paris, take another look. With 2 times total points at grocery stores, your same kitchen can come with more cuisines. Sapphire Preferred from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Valid up to $1,000 in purchases per month from November 1st, 2020 to April 30th, 2021. Account subject to credit approval. Cards are issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
ChristopherMedia.net.
The Weedsman Podcast.
You know what else is charming as fucking really moving, and I wasn't expecting it to be, is the new Superman series. And as big of a nerd as you know I am, I've kind of fell off all those CW shows. That's like kids shit, man. Some of the costumes that they're wearing and the lines that fall out of their mouths is just, it's nonsense. It's well below the level of stuff that's even going on in the comic books.
There's a new Superman show?
Yeah, Superman and Lois.
Oh, yeah. I've seen commercials for that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I like based on what like CW's their track record isn't all shit. I'm not saying that all those shows are garbage. Like I think Stargirl's a good show. It just isn't really doing it for me. I think it's a great looking show and they got a really good cast on it. I enjoyed Arrow when it was at its peak of like soap opera drama, but it's really more like watching the OC with costumes, you know?
Yeah, well, they have an audience and they're aiming at it.
Yeah, and it worked for me for a long time, and it was only when they started taking themselves too seriously and like Oliver dies and all this shit, and I was like, they're trying to make this into like more of a Batman story, and I just want to see sexy people dress up and punch each other and argue about shit and have lots of drama. So, you know, on certain levels, the CW shows succeed very well. The first couple seasons of The Flash are watchable, and then it just dissolves into nonsense. But I didn't have a whole lot of hopes for the Superman show, and I've never been a huge Superman fan anyway. You know, we were talking about this forever on Unregimented between me and Rich. You know, Superman's just kind of he's too much of a Boy Scout to have real appeal. But I'm still interested in the character and what the character means, right? Because it does mean something to people. Like, you know, like Superman stands for something in ways that Batman never will.
Truth, like, justice, and the American way.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to be overly cheesy about this, but you know, that's kind of that's the main strength of that character is that he does stand for something. Now, that can vary wildly. You know, just like the Punisher stands for something, but people, you know, misinterpret that and or maybe they interpret it a little too well and misuse that logo. And I'm sure, you know, there's lots of assholes running around with fucking Bon Jovi, namely.
A Superman tattoo?
Yeah, doesn't he have the Superman tattoo on his arm?
I think so. Someone else.
Or maybe it was Richie
Shaq
Sambora.
has it. Shaq has it.
Yeah, there you go.
Bet you Jerry Seinfeld has one.
Yeah, I honestly didn't have high hopes for it. And I saw some of the previews and I was like, it kind of looks goofy. Like, that looks like off-brand Clark and Lois.
Lois and Clark.
But, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was an actual show that was called Lois and Clark, wasn't there? There was, Smallville, Lois and Clark. Wasn't there another one?
Lois and Clark started the run of the Superman TV shows because that's where we met Terry Hatcher post Seinfeld.
Right. So they've done a number of these like smaller Superman shows because if you're going to do a TV show about Superman, you got to keep it small. This one, you know, with the special effects that they can do now, and they do some pretty convincing stuff on those CW shows. You know, they can make it a lot bigger and get closer to a Superman story that we would see in the movies or the comics. And not that it has to be that, you know. That's kind of what I'm looking for and why I like the WandaVision show so much is out of television is that's your chance to properly draw these stories out and do some real character development that you just don't have time for in a movie packed with 8 characters. So I want to see, if I'm going to watch a Superman show, that is the side of Superman that I want to see. He doesn't need to punch somebody every 5 minutes. He needs to have a life and look like a real person and have a family. And what does that look like? You know, and so this is Superman in the future. You know, this is not a Superman that we've seen before. He's well settled in. He actually gets fired at the beginning of the episode from his job at the Daily Planet when they're downsizing. So we're not going to see any of that stuff.
Sorry, Clark. And last hired, first fired.
Yeah. And he's got, the two of them have 2 teenage sons, Jonathan and some other J name, Jonas, something like that. I can't remember. Jehoshaphat.
Do they kick ass because they're half Superman?
What did you say?
Do they kick ass because they're half Superman?
Well, that's the thing. So they're teenagers and they haven't manifested any powers and the parents haven't told them yet. And they go back to Smallville and
probably figured out when they start fucking.
And yeah, I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it was, actually a really strong cast. It's definitely a family story, and it's telling, at least what it's setting up in the first episode, is the difficulties of feeling estranged from your family, right? Like his kids are, I don't know, they look like they're 17, maybe 16. So they're kind of at that age where they're rebelling a little bit. And there's, Jonathan's more the straight-laced sports type, and then they got the emo kid.
But you tell me by 16 or 17, one of these kids hasn't been in a fight, gotten clocked in the jaw, and not felt it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, no, they think that Jonathan is going to be developing powers at some point because he's a really good athlete. But no, there's no. But here's the thing: they don't know when it's going to develop either, right? This is an unknown. This is the first time a Kryptonian and a human have produced an offspring. So it was kind of a miracle that they were even able to. And it's not just a known linear thing that they could trace of like, here's the growth chart. By age 6, they should be shooting lasers out of their eyes. By age 7, they should be flying around the world and making time go backwards. There's no map for any of this. And that's like they use all those in the best ways as these, metaphors for family and connections and parenting. And, when you feel like, as a kid, as a teenager, you feel alienated from your parents and your parents feel kind of alienated from you because they're like, what? This doesn't resemble the kid that I raised and what's going on here. And, to have all that heightened with the fact that your dad is actually an alien and you're half alien. And it was surprisingly moving. The kids are great. I'm really charmed by this new Clark Kent that they have. He's a little goofier than we've seen before, but it really works. The only dud in this show so far is the actor that's playing Lois, and she's just blah. Like all of her line deliveries are like have no emotion to them. I don't even get it.
So the emo kid takes after mom?
I mean, maybe it was bad direction. It could have been the result of the directors trying to say like, well, we don't want to do high drama superhero shouting all the time, right? We're doing a family drama that involves Superman, right? So he's going to punch somebody every once in a while, but that's not the core of the show. And so maybe they're just she was trying to reel back the performance a little bit, but she's practically dead in this show. Like she shows no emotion and never really delivers a line convincingly.
I was just playing it like Kristen Stewart.
Yeah. But it doesn't really drag the show down. I hope they continue to keep the focus on the two kids. It's really, even though the show's called, Superman and Lois, they should have called it Super Sons. I think the only reason they didn't call it anything like that, because there is a comic book called that, so they wouldn't just be pulling it from nowhere. But I think the only reason they didn't, because they didn't want to kind of spoil that first episode. And also, you can't really make a show with Superman and not put him in the title of the show.
I mean, you can. It just won't last very long.
Right. You could, but the network would eventually tell you, no, you got to put the Superman in there. So we've been running long today. I've been babbling too much. And we actually do have quite a bit of weed news to talk about. So let's see if we can get through this. Because starting with, there's some new regulations to tax and regulate cannabis in D.C.
Oh, hey, slow down. It's only been, 5 years?
Committee of the whole chairman, Phil Mendelson. Phil Mendelson. What movie? Mendelson.
You're thinking of Ned Ryerson?
It does sound like a Ned Ryerson name. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. You know, me. Phil. Needle Nose Phil.
Yeah.
Phil Mendelson is joined by council members Charles Allen. Okay, we don't need the whole lineup. Let's get to the meat of what's going on here. Introducing the Comprehensive Cannabis Legislation and Regulation Act of 2021, a sweeping bill that establishes a legal market for cannabis in the District of Columbia, taking important steps to ensure industry is inclusive and accessible to communities hardest by the drug war, and invest 50% of cannabis revenue back into these communities. So, to recap, if you don't know about this one, this is not a legalization of cannabis because cannabis is already legal in D.C., but it is establishing a market to sell and tax cannabis because that's what they don't have.
Yes.
And when they originally legalized it, that was certainly part of the plan, just like every other legal plan was to roll out a full-on, let's tax it, send it to the schools, let's regulate it, keep it out of areas that we don't want it in. And after DC passed by voter their legal cannabis plan, the leaders in DC who actually control the purse strings of how the tax money is spent in the District of Columbia, those in the House and Senate said, well, you can't have any money. We're not going to let you allocate any money to institute a legal program. So they've been in limbo for this past, how many years now?
Didn't they vote it in like 2016?
I think so. So we're going on 5 years.
Yeah, you just said to leave $300 in the couch.
Yep. And I saw this pop up on Twitter first, and it was kind of interesting because I was following some of the remarks. And a lot of people who were in D.C. were like, don't even bother. Like, the current system is totally fine. A lot of people talking about how not only are they able to get weed when they want to, simply by purchasing, a T-shirt or some item that comes with a free gift of cannabis, they were also able to still get it at a reasonable price, something that was competitive with the black market in D.C., and that a lot of people talking about how weed is actually harder to find on the black market now because it's so easy to sell in this fashion. They don't have to tax it. All you got to do is come up with a scheme of something that you want to sell, inflate the price on, and give away weed when you do so, and it's totally legit. So people are like, don't fuck with our system. You had your chance, right? Now we got our system locked down. And
that's how Michigan was operating for a minute before we were able to do things. I remember there were stories of, somebody was like, you ordered chocolates and you got a bunch of weed with it. Somebody was like,
I had a guy I knew we were all ready to set up this whole operation where I was just going to drive around delivering T-shirts with cannabis in them.
Yeah. We're back to the Jurassic Park speech, right? It always finds a way.
Exactly. And now that this is kind of the culture, right, in DC now, I would say this is part of the culture. So that's going to be a hard thing to beat. Now you want to institute a legal weed program that is going to, it's going to regulate weed in ways that's going to make that weed more expensive. So outside of that, the fact that you're paying more taxes on that, just the fact that the government's regulating it, telling these shops, how much they can buy, where they can get it from, how they have to have it tested, that all increases the cost of the product. And then you pay the taxes on top of that. So now you want to tell people, no, you got to, okay, we got you not to go to somebody on the corner that you don't know. We got you to go to somebody who actually is, a legitimate small business person, right? That's a step in the right direction. Now we got to get you into the shop where you're going to pay twice as much. How does that math work, right? Where do you think you're going to go in D.C.? If they now if you're currently, you can call somebody and say, well, bring me over 2 T-shirts. I'll give you $100, and I'll get a quarter of weed or whatever the fuck it is. That's a bit much. They better be damn nice T-shirts. But whatever it is, and then that operation gets shut down by the government and they open up a store and they charge twice as much. Well, you're just going to go back to the corner. You're not going to go into the shop. Because of this gap that they left, that 5-year gap of not doing anything about this, of having their hands tied by Congress, it's going to be so much more of an uphill battle for them to try and to just get to the point where the market will even be competitive with the black market.
Convenience can go a long way. Absolutely. But it doesn't get you all the way. The black market, you're still on someone else's terms.
Right. So maybe you get rid of the guys on the corner, right? What you don't get rid of are the more chill guys. Smaller grow ops, know a lot of heads.
Well, I think you're always going to have that, no matter what.
Absolutely. You will never get rid of those. No, don't misunderstand me. You will never get rid of those at all. But that is your real competition, right? It's easy to get somebody to say, hey, don't go downtown anymore. Come to this shop in the suburbs. Oh, yeah, I'll pay 3 times as much to do that. To not see a person of color? Great. I can get my shit in the suburbs.
No, but I think it's more, hey, you're out of weed, you can go get it when you want it, versus you have to call this, versus the weed man dance.
Right.
There's something to be said for, I'm out, I can just go buy more. It's on your terms then. Maybe not price-wise, but it's definitely...
I'm not arguing against the benefits for the legal market. I'm just saying that to get to that point, that's probably going to be years for DC now. Because of this 5-year of having now established and very convenient and safe ways to get cannabis that is not taxed, is not regulated, and probably doesn't sound like it's a hassle for them. Now, this is just a polling, not a polling, but, a quick look at Twitter, reading some comments. I've kept up to date on the news on this the whole time. So I'm aware of what's going on there. I don't live in D.C. I don't know what it's actually like to score. But it sounds like it's a lot easier to score right now when you want, how much you want, at a reasonable price than it was before they legalized it.
Well, they'll probably just regulate them out of business, right?
Well, they will make it illegal. Like, if they pass anything, it has to make the current business model of giving it away illegal.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have those regulations just about anywhere. I think the real problem is not even that I think it's not that it's legal to give away the weed. It's that they don't even have a budget to enforce any of it, right? So it leaves it in a gray area.
Well, that's the thing, is these regulations now take away that gray area.
Yeah. And if your step is going from black market to a regulated market, that's one thing. That's a challenge that we've seen. And we understand that, even in Colorado, they're not anywhere close to stamping out the black market. They can be, I think they're competitive, but they're never going to get rid of it completely. But, that process took years. That business in Colorado continued to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up. And that wasn't driven by population. It wasn't people rushing to Colorado because they can get weed. It was more and more people coming around to the idea and being comfortable with going into a shop, paying a tax, buying shit in daylight, walking around with it, driving around with it in your car, not sweating. As more people became comfortable with it, then the convenience factor, that really ramped up for people. And yes, you give them the right circumstances and the right convenience, exactly how people want it, they will pay more. They absolutely will. But now you do that as like, we're going to go from black market to gray market to regulated market. Now you just shot yourself in the foot. That's like when my parents tried to tell me, when I graduated, they told me I had no curfew. And then I stayed out until like 4 a.m. every night. And after 2 weeks, they told me that I had to be home by 2. And I said, how's that going to work? I've already spent the last 2 weeks being out as late as I want to. Like, no.
See, I was told just let us know.
Horse is gone.
I was told just let us know if you're not coming home. It's like, all right, I can do that.
Yeah, and you're like, how can I tell you that if I'm dead, Mom? Huh?
Yeah.
You ever think about that?
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
There once was a dad who set out on a great quest to find the perfect Coke flavors at his family's request. So he went into a local store and grabbed the Coke Cherry Vanilla, Coke Cherry, and more. At dinner, they sipped Coke flavors and rejoiced, for everyone made their own delicious choice.
Coca-Cola flavors. Unbelievably delicious.
With so many delicious Coca-Cola flavors and Coca-Cola Zero Sugar flavors options to choose from, you'll have to taste them all.
Good afternoon. Would you like to try a free sample of our double fudge brownie?
Oh, sure. That's very good. I'll just take one more, just to be sure. Yep, still very good.
Some things never change, like never being able to take just one free sample. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Is that macadamia nut I taste? Let me take one more.
Sir?
Yeah, I thought so.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
ChristopherMedia.net.
The Weedsman Podcast.
All right, so what else is going on? Virginia, they have their bill signed and ready to send to the governor. Actually, I'm sure by the time this broadcast, the governor will have signed off on it already because he is a proponent. And unless they majorly fucked up this legislation, he's going to sign off on it. So,
welcome to legal weed, Old South.
So, Virginia, age 21 and up, will now be able to purchase cannabis legally, but not until January 1st of the year of our Lord 2024.
Oh, wah, wah. You got to wait 3 fucking years?
Yeah.
Better go to D.C., those of you who live in Eastern Virginia.
And the reason I think that this is a huge mistake is the same thing that I was just trying to lay out with DC. And now you've got a 3-year period where you're going to tell people, well, it's not illegal and you can't buy it legally. So we're not going to be busting you for it, but you're still going to have to get your shit from somewhere, right? So there's going to be a black market, but you know, if you get caught with it, you can just tell them you grew it yourself, right? Because it's legal now. It's just not regulated yet. So again, they've shot themselves in the foot. You need to move as quickly as possible to a regulated market once you've established that this thing is no longer illegal.
Yeah, or like I said, if you live in Eastern Virginia, you just go to D.C. and get it. Because now they have their rules.
Oh, that shit's just going to be flooding out of D.C. into Virginia, I'm sure, and vice versa. So I don't know. Like 4 years, as in they honestly think it's going to take that long to put this together? I mean, we see delayed legislation all the time, right? But that's usually because they're budgeting it in a certain way, right? So this law will enact at this point because we expect to have the money to pay for it at that point as well. This isn't that. This is, you know, the only delay in this should be how long do you think it's going to take you to put together a safe and regulated and accessible cannabis market?
Well, maybe they think 3 years.
There's no fucking way. There's no way. I mean, look at all the examples all around us. They looked at all those and said, yeah, but they moved too quick on it. Every single state has, even the fastest state has moved too slow from the point of making it legal to the point of having it available for regulated sale.
Well, actually, hasn't Illinois been the fastest? Didn't Illinois do it in November?
Illinois is pretty quick. Yeah.
Didn't they do it in November, and then January 1st, it was weed time?
I don't think it was that quick.
Because other than that, Nevada was the quickest. Nevada did it in November, July 1st. It was weed time.
Yep. I think that's more reasonable, I guess. But I just think it's important that, you can't leave that gray area if you actually want to tackle this problem. And that's 3 years of, a developing gray market in Virginia that you will then have to fight once your regulation goes into effect. There's a law in New Jersey did that actually get passed? New Jersey minors caught with weed or booze don't have to worry about getting grounded by mom and dad. This is according to the New York Post. As a new law legalizing marijuana bars police from telling parents if their kids were caught. And it apparently extends to alcohol. So if they bust, I don't know how this works, because there's saying if the cops bust a teen for smoking or drinking, they're not allowed to report to their parents. So then what do you do with the kids? Like, don't you have to call the parents? Like, somebody's got to, I don't know. I guess maybe they just ticket them.
Maybe.
I thought they took you in on that shit. Like, minor in possession, unless they were just going to be cool about it, like they would take you in and then your parents had to come get you.
I did not think I would lose a grip on how the world works this early. I thought it would at least be out of my 40s before I started not understanding how the current world is working.
There's a 3-step process for dealing with anyone under 18.
It was call their parents, call their parents, call their parents.
Right. What else would you want to do?
They're a minor.
I know.
I don't want to be in fucking charge of you. It's your parents' job.
I think this is bullshit. I don't know. If my kids were out smoking or drinking and they're under 18, which is kind of laughable to think about my dweeb kids, but I'd want to know. And if the cops found them, if your kids are coming across the cops and getting busted for smoking or drinking, your kids are doing something stupid. Because if you're not, then you're not coming across the cops.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been arrested. I've never been to jail. Because I was always that guy that going, the cops are going to be here soon. I'm going to leave.
Right. Yeah.
Y'all have fun when the police show up.
Let's not go to the abandoned school. Let's just stay here and hit this bong in your basement. Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, no, trust me. I was always like, oh, really? So we want to go to somewhere that's been closed to the public for 9 hours. We're all underage and young. Yeah, sure.
We're impaired.
Yeah.
It's the middle of the night. If something happens, no one will find us.
If I'm a cop, I'm not stopping and looking at us twice. Where's this dumb law at?
New Jersey.
Oh,
this was
right.
part of their legalization.
Well, hey, kids in New Jersey, all right, you can fuck up all you want. Apparently,
I was hoping that they would lay out. I was hoping they would lay out what this 3-step process is that they refer to, but I don't see it in here. All right. But to wrap up the show, last thing, Seth Rogen has launched his own cannabis and ceramics business. File that under this didn't happen already? Like, how is it?
Yeah, first of all, how do you not already have your own weed? And second, you bored during the pandemic there, Seth?
Ceramics he's been doing business? A lot of ceramics. Yeah.
Is that his cover for making bongs and pipes?
No, I think it's just what he likes to do when he ggets high. He put out a tweet that says, almost 10 years ago, I envisioned having my own weed company. And today I can say that my company houseplant, or a company houseplants weed, will be available in California next week. Also, Houseplant is making lovely house goods like ashtrays, lighters, and yes, even ceramics. Really, dude, you're not going to make a bong?
Right? Ceramics, I mean, it's right for it.
Site here.
Was it like a bong on the front page?
No, it's just a sign up. Like, hey, enter all your personal info here and sign up. Yeah. There's not an actual like website to just browse.
I wasn't going to do it with potsmoking.com, and I'm not going to do it now.
Yeah. Here we go. So that was houseplant.com. Houseplant.ca.
Oh, that's right. He's Canadian.
Let's see. I have to lie and say I'm Canadian. I'm going to say I'm from Ontario, okay? Like, don't tell anybody. Let's see. What would my birthday be if I was a Canadian? What kind of month would a Canadian be born in? Like July? Let's just pick a number here, 17.
For people who love weed, by people who love weed.
How old are Canadians usually?
Right. What's
the average Canadian?
What does my age convert to over the border?
Yeah, what's the conversion rate on 45? Like 60?
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
I'm going to collect a Social Security check.
I'm just going to say I was born in 1959. I'm some old fuck Canadian who wants to look at your bongs. Enter. They bought it. I'm in.
I've been in.
Yeah. Oh, you're already there?
No, that's what I was reading. It's for people who love weed, by people who love weed. That's kind of a dumb slogan.
Houseplant. Oh, they got the drinks. Houseplant grapefruit and houseplant lemon. They got some shit to rub on your junk. Is that? Oh no, that just looks like that's actual flour. Why does it look like it's in like a tub of some shit that you'd slather on your body?
There's some soft gels, pre-rolls, beverage.
I kind of like the look. It has that like generic kind of look to it.
I don't see any ceramics.
Like the packaging, it all looks like just really plain, simple colors, but nice. I dig it.
That's also Canada. I wonder what we'd have to do here.
Let's get an Ed Hardy drawing on it or something, probably.
Or who knows? Yeah, I mean,
some dancing bears,
right? Though that is Canada, where they do put "smoking will kill you" right on the cigarette packs in big black and white letters.
Oh, dude, they had. Do you remember the photos?
Oh yeah, back in the day, they'd put like a fucking diseased lung, on a pack of cigarettes.
They put a premature baby on one of them. Like, people come over from Canada, and I'm like, let me see your smokes. Oh, God.
Why? Hey, you asked.
And then I'd be like, give me one of those. Give me one of those, what were the
Jarums?
No, not the Jarums. It was all about, what's the white and blue pack?
Oh, God, I can
that
see
have
it.
The indented tips. That you could,
Parliaments.
Parliament. You get a P-Funk and you could like do a bump out of the filter because it was indented.
Yeah, a lot of people.
So you could like scoop up a little Coke or whatever your pleasure is, and it's a nice way to do a little bump.
I spoke Parliament menthol lights for a minute, but it had nothing to do with doing Coke.
Right, so Parliaments eventually came to the U.S., and I would smoke those. But before they came to the U.S., you could only get them through Canada. And the Canadian versions were the ones that had those fully indented tips. I think they had like a kind of crosshatch thing on the U.S. ones. But yeah, also the P-Funks from Canada were like super, super short filters. And they were nasty cigarettes, man. I don't know why I smoked those things.
was in Canada where they had the Marlboro Blacks. I'm trying to remember, there was a Marlboro. No, they had the Marlboro Blues before they came over the border. The Marlboro Milds were in Canada before they were here. Because I remember going over there when I was 19, getting them like, oh, these are the shit. And then all of a sudden, they started showing up over here and going, oh, hey, it's some Canadian Marlboros. Canada.
Oh, okay, one more news story that I have to share, and then we'll end this. But I didn't know if you knew this. Smoking more weed gets a person higher.
What?
Yeah.
Talking about wasting time. I don't know what wasted more time, doing this study or that idiot who kidnapped himself.
You haven't heard everything yet, though. But there's a downside.
Wait.
You know what the downside is that they describe in this article?
You spend all your money on weed.
You might freak out if you get too high. That's one of them.
Whoa. Thanks for the in-depth analysis.
You might feel kind of hungover, and you get the weed hangover. Like I got one last weekend because I had a whole bunch of green that I don't usually have those types of quantities around. And so, yeah, I rolled some fatties, and I had the house to myself, and I got fucking blasted, man. And I woke up, and I was like, whoa, I have a weed hangover.
Still high. Haven't done this in a while.
Yeah.
Again,
what was the other
time
one?
and money was wasted on this study. Smoking more weed gets you higher. What?
Consuming too much marijuana is never a good feeling. Really?
Well, no, it's usually a great feeling, actually.
Yeah. Producing highs that may include paranoia and could last for hours. Okay, but again, you said it's never a good feeling and that it produces highs that may include paranoia and could last for hours. So if one of the effects is it could last for hours, well, then that's a positive, right? Unless you were trying to time it like, if I get really high right now, I can sober up by the time I have to go to work. Like, you being high for 3 hours from smoking pot, probably not a big deal. Because what would you have done anyway? Like, smoked more pot?
Last for hours. Is this a threat?
Right. So you can't say that it's always bad to be too high when the side effects are being high for longer than you thought you would have been, and sometimes you can panic. And I'd even argue that the sometimes isn't even about sometimes, it's some people.
Absolutely.
Like individual, I've had situations where I felt panicky from smoking too much weed occasionally. And a lot of times it's like other things are going on too, right? But in general, it doesn't really happen to me. There's certain people who can handle it and there's others who can't. And that's fine. You know, it just doesn't it reacts negatively with some people. Some people can't smoke any amount of weed without going into panic mode. And that's just not for them.
Yep. I'm married to her. No weed for my wife.
Yeah. So if I was writing this article, I would say smoking marijuana, too much marijuana is usually a good feeling.
Yes.
But can produce highs that may include paranoia.
Also, may make you want tacos.
If consumption continues, a person will get higher, but things could get very messy, resulting in a crash nap.
No shit. It's like the same principle with alcohol. Fuckface.
How is that
The more
messy?
alcohol you drink, the more fucked up you get, and yeah, you might just pass out. You are getting altered. You could just do this for put in substance of choice.
And also, how is that a negative? I mean, unless, I could see if you were intending on doing something, I'm going to get super high and beat Super Mario Brothers, and then you got super high and passed out, you'd be like, oh man, I wasted all that weed. Now I got to get super high again so I can beat Super Mario Brothers. But yeah, other than that, so what? Like, what are you warning against? How is that?
Having an awesome time.
They say things could get messy, resulting in a crash nap. How is that how is a nap anywhere near messy? Now, look, I've taken some quote unquote naps when I was drunk, and they were pretty fucking messy naps. Cannabis? Like, messiest situation would be if I passed out with the bong in my lap.
Or passed out eating a taco. You wake up, there's beef and cheese everywhere. There's lettuce in your hair.
No, though. You don't pass out halfway through eating a taco. Like that's a drunk thing.
Yeah. I say I have passed out eating food, but yeah, you're right. Usually alcohol.
It was alcohol. Oh, I've done it. I'm not saying I'm not trying to be all high and mighty like I've never done that. I've never done that as a result of smoking cannabis.
Now, I think back in the day, we did get so high, I had been dozing off while eating food. Like sitting there chewing, like can't keep my eyes open because I'm so fucking high. Like I've been there.
Sure.
Like I've been where I've either like I got to make a choice. I either got to just shove the rest of this in my face, or we're wrapping it up and putting it in the fridge. Like I've been in that situation.
Well, you may not have realized it at the time, Chris, but you are actually in danger of a crash nap.
Of choking on my burrito, falling asleep while eating. That's the most danger I was in.
Yeah, that's how. Isn't that how Hendrix went? He choked on a taco. He was so high.
Yeah, again, I think alcohol was a factor in that death.
Right. Or yeah, they say that. I mean, it's completely apocryphal, but the long-standing rumor forever was that Mama Cass choked on a ham sandwich and died, when in reality, she had a fucking heart attack and she happened to, have a half-eaten ham sandwich that was on the scene. And, somebody is, it's being fat-shaming, right? They're just like, typical. Oh, look at that. Of course she had a ham sandwich.
Hey, no one's fought it.
Well, it's been completely disproven. I mean, it was always, if you actually looked into it, you could find out very easily if you wanted to know anything about Mama Cass. But, she was just one of those people that you just kind of hear about. You don't know shit about her. Mamas and the Papas and Big Mama Cass. That's it. You may know the songs. And somebody told you that she was a great big fat person. Oh, yeah. Did she choke on a ham sandwich?
So no one has to tell you. Just look up pictures of her.
So anyway, I thought we were ending this show. Sorry, I got off on another tangent. We got to wrap up.
Supersized
show
too
high.
This week.
This is the dangers. This is a danger they didn't listen to this article, Chris, that your podcast could last 3 hours because you're talking mad shit because you don't know, can't keep track of your conversation anymore.
Oh,
I'm
my God.
too high. Why didn't nobody warn me?
I think we just did. So follow us on Twitter at The Weasel 420 and like us on Facebook. And we're on Instagram at The Weasel Podcast. And ChristopherMedia.net is where you go and you hit the PayPal button if you want to just straight up give us money. Or you can hit the Amazon banner if you want to shop Amazon and help us out. And everybody wins in that one. Doesn't cost you anything extra. And yeah, go to ChristopherMedia.net if you want to cut out the middleman and download our podcast directly. Or you can listen to us on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, God damn it, the Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, YouTube. We're there now as well. So,
hey, tubers.
Yeah, subscribe to us there and rate us wherever you can. Leave a review and stay high.
Stay high.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey dated July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities. Or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Get a $22 Shell gift card with a Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic purchase. Ends 3/14/21. Terms apply. Details at pennzoil.com/oil change offer.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.